Coming up on this episode of 101 Sports.
We figure out what in the world D'Angelo was thinking.
And our golf experts tee off for some Masters talk.
All that and so much more.
And it all starts
right now.
Welcome to this episode of 101 Sports. I'm Connor Delpreet.
And I'm Stephen Harris. Now that Villanova's beaten UNC, they can go back to class.
Oof.
Here's the starting five.
Yikes. In the era of the internet, anything you post can come back to bite you later on. And Lakers rookie point guard D'Angelo Russell found this out the hard way. Recently, Russell posted a video of teammate Nick Young talking about his infidelities during his relationship with pop star Iggy Azalea. After the video went viral, reports of the team isolating Russell became a commonplace in NBA news. So what type of impact does it have on the locker room and Russell's career moving forward?
First, I want to give a little shout out how funny I thought it was that D'Angelo thought no one would ever see this because
right.
He's not playing for the Lakers. Anyway, what the impact this has is that this really impacts the Lakers' trust. That was already such a fragile foundation for their trust because they weren't trusting the coach. Everybody was wondering what's going on with Kobe because they're spending too much time trying to make sure Kobe has a good send-out instead of developing their team. A lot of players didn't really trust each other in the first place, and now this happens, and it's just it's gone.
Yeah,
now,
and moving from the locker room to D'Angelo Russell, this is a guy, the pressure's already on him, being in the city where the cameras are already flashing. He's finding out the hard way that you don't want to be remembered for something besides your play on the court. He's being remembered for something off the court, and that's where the real issues are going to come in for Russell. I think just harping based off what you said, the locker room, he's never going to get that trust completely
He's
back.
in a city of headlines. Anything he does is being watched, especially when everyone's expecting you to be the next great one in LA.
Certainly a learning experience.
Everyone's already watching.
A learning experience for sure.
Exactly. This week, the Boston Red Sox benched their $90 million man, Pablo Sandoval, in favor of utility man Travis Shaw for the starting third baseman job. While this is not the first time Boston has misjudged a big contract, does his name Carl Crawford ring a bell? This is the first time we've seen them move away from this, from a big contract, to move to a farm system guy. So Connor, I want to ask, is this the right move for the two-time bottom dweller of the AL East?
I mean, I guess as long as they address the Sandoval situation on the bench, I think they'll be fine. Look, I'm all for open competitions in spring training, and I think Shaw beat out Sandoval pretty fair and square. But if the Red Sox don't address Sandoval's situation soon, it could be bad for this team. Looking at the bigger picture, he's sitting on the bench. They were worried about his weight before. He's not going to have any motivation right now to reduce his weight, and I think that's going to spell bad things for Sandoval and the team. I think you got to trade him right now.
And if he's on the bench, he's definitely not going to be losing any weight because he's not going to be playing. So he's not even going to be getting that natural workout of playing and being an everyday player. So we'll see how it works. I think Travis Shaw, we'll see how he plays out. Sometimes a farm system guy doesn't necessarily become the phenom you expect him to be. Like
especially
Will Middlebrooks was supposed to be a phenom.
He's only played in five. Shaw's only played in 5 games, so it'll be an interesting move, a bold move for sure, but it could pay off in the long run.
Exactly,
for the
they
Red Sox.
definitely need to get rid of the panda.
Exactly. The Golden State Warriors have dominated the record books this year in their journey to finish with the best record of all time. One record they won't break this season, however, is an undefeated home record in a regular season. After a Warriors loss to the Celtics over the weekend, the San Antonio Spurs are the sole team left with an undefeated record at home. Will we see this record get broken by San Antonio?
I'm going to say no, not because they can't do it, because they're the Spurs and they don't care.
Thank you.
Greg Popovich, has already said that he doesn't want to play at full strength against the Warriors because he kind of wants to play his cards close to the chest and save that for the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So that means that already counts out that one home game against the Warriors where maybe they squeak it out to the Warriors decide to rest guys too. And their last home game is against the Thunder. So they're the Spurs. They rest their guys. It's what they do. So if they wanted to, they could go 41-0 at home, but they don't want to.
If they wanted to, they could. But I don't think it's in their best interest to. I think Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, management, they need their rest. This is their blueprint. The San Antonio Spurs have thrived off playing well in the beginning of the regular season, resting their stars at the end so that these older guys can actually perform well in the postseason, which they do every single time. Why would you change it to go after some silly record Greg Popovich doesn't care about?
Exactly. And if the question was, can they break the record? The answer is absolutely yes. But the question is, will they do it? And I just have to say no, just because they're the Spurs and they don't want to.
Exactly.
Another day, another record-setting UConn victory in the Final Four against Oregon State. The Huskies have all but wrapped up their 4th straight title and 11th overall, and have drawn comparisons to John Wooden's UCLA program, along with other teams that have been historically dominant. So this begs the question, Connor, Is this the most dominant dynasty we've seen in sports history?
I would say they're the most dominant. They're not the best dynasty. I would be wary of saying best just because I would give the benefit of the doubt to the Yankees or Patriots because they played in a league that had a lot more parity, a lot more teams that could actually challenge them. When we look at this UConn team, they're beating good programs by 40-plus points, and there was never really ever a question that they wouldn't get to the Final Four. So I think one of the most dominant, yes, because we knew they would be in the finals and Final Four every year essentially, but the best is a stretch.
I think you hit the nail on the head because there isn't any parity.
Right.
The Final Four every year always seems to be some combination of UConn,
Tennessee,
Baylor, Stanford, Tennessee.
South Carolina.
It's always the same 4 or 5 teams every year, and UConn always seems to be that one team that's always in. So I'm definitely going to say they're the most dominant college program over UCLA because of what they've been doing since 1995 when they got
And I
that
don't want
first
to take
championship.
away from the UConn women's basketball team. I think this is a fantastic program that has been built over many, many years. I think they're a fantastic dynasty.
But you see a team like the Yankees that's gotten 27 championships. That's domination. That's one of the best dynasties.
Right. For a guy like Oklahoma City Thunder star Russell Westbrook, it's hard to be overshadowed considering his thunderous dunks and exuberant celebrations, but he may have met his match. While Golden State has been dominating the headlines, Westbrook has quietly put up 16 triple-doubles, one less than Magic Johnson's 17 in the 85-86 season. So are we overlooking Westbrook's historically great
We
season?
are absolutely
Thank you.
overlooking Russell Westbrook's historic season. It's 16 triple-doubles. That's one shy of the
Jordan.
modern era record. And if you look at the numbers, Steph Curry isn't even the most valuable guy on his team because Draymond Green is the guy that when he doesn't play well or he doesn't play, that's when they lose. But when Steph Curry is hurt or he's out, you see a guy like Klay Thompson step in. The numbers show that Draymond Green is the most valuable guy in that team. Steph Curry's not even the most valuable guy in his team. It's 16 triple-doubles, and we can't show this man some love. I'm usually the biggest questioner of Russell Westbrook, but I got to give it to him.
I have
this
to
year.
agree with you, and it's not his fault, obviously. All major pundits are in awe with Curry's unbelievable range, etc., and I wouldn't blame him. I mean, this guy is turning the cameras on. They're all focused on him for a good reason, but Russell Westbrook has improved massively this year. I mean, massively. He's become way more efficient at the rim. 37% of his shots are within 4 feet of the rim. He's defying the odds of the three-pointers dominating the game. The guy's been fantastic.
And I think the reason why he's getting overlooked is just because Steph Curry's gotten this regular Joe kind of guys because anyone can shoot a three and he's 6'3" and normal versus Russell Westbrook who's doing these crazy things. But someone's got to give him some love. It's been an unbelievable season.
Absolutely.
That's all we have for the quick hitters, but up next, I head to the fairway to preview the 2016 Masters with our golf experts. The Masters are coming and Tiger is currently stuck in the sandpit. With Tiger out, we turn our eyes to the rest of the field. Joining at the desk is Jason Phillips and Megan Pogorski, and they're going to tell me who will master this tournament. So Jason, I'm going to go to you first. We're going to break down different areas of the game, and you're going to tell me which golfer in the field is going to just tear it up and is going to make it their own. So we're going to start with off the tee.
Okay.
Jason, who you got?
Off the tee, I'm going to go with the defending champion, Jordan Spieth. I know he's not incredibly long off the tee. I don't care because he's accurate. He hits 63% of fairways. That's good enough for 29th in total driving. And at Augusta, you have to be able to find the fairway.
But here's the problem with that. He's been in such a lull recently that he was off my radar as soon as I saw this. I was like, no way. He's not going to have a good Masters week this week. I went with Rory McIlroy. He's been hitting the target 72% of the time. That's incredible. And he's averaging 304 yards off the tee. Like, that's ridiculous. And he's 21 under for all long holes during the week. And he's been finishing strongly in the Masters the last 4 years. So
yeah, that
it's
is
a good
good.
track
I
record.
like to see accuracy off the tee at Augusta because if you find yourself in the rough
But
or even in the
72%
trees.
is accurate.
I know, but even in the trees, then that's going to be hard to make birdies, pars, and Spieth is definitely accurate. He's proved that.
I got to go with Jason because accuracy is the name of the game because you don't want to be aggressive and inaccurate. That's just a dangerous combination in any aspect of your
true.
life. But we've hit off the green. We're moving on our way. On the way, traveling down the course. Who do you got? Who's the
I'm
best
going to
one?
go with Ricky Fowler. I didn't know where to put him because I was like, he's 5th in the world. He's incredible.
He's just
but
great.
he's so balanced across the board. He's an incredible scrambler. He's great in the clutch with putting and great off the tee. He's long and accurate. The reason I picked him for this, he's good in tough situations. He balances well. He's mentally strong. He's bound to do well in the Masters. He was in the top 10 last year.
You want to talk about tough situations, though. How about Bubba Watson? If we remember back in 2012, he was 20 yards in the woods in that playoff, somehow still found the green, ended up going on the win of that year. He knows his way around this course, and this year he's especially good because he's first in greens in regulation, first in strokes gained, tee to green. That's so important that you're hitting greens and giving yourself the chances to make birdie at Augusta.
That's a good point, for sure.
That's a fair point because we all kind of remember Bubba for that shot. That's
that
kind of the shot that put Bubba on the map and will always make me root for Bubba because first of all his name's Bubba. But now I'm moving on the way to the next point. We're in the hole. Who's the best? Who's
Putting.
taking it?
No one has had a hotter putter on tour right now than Jason Day. It seems like everything he looks at is going in. I mean, and the stats prove it. Within 4 feet, he has made 100% of his putts. That doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but they're called knee knockers for a reason, and he's making every single one. He's also 3rd in strokes gained putting, 5th in total putting. He's just on fire.
I said Jason Day too. He's just perfection, and he's number 1 in the world for a reason right now. Yeah, there's been a lot of tussle back and forth, but he definitely is solid in his putting. So I think he's definitely going to get it from the green in.
And I like the wordplay, knee knockers.
Knee knocker.
We can't ever knock a guy who's making 100% of his putts in the 4-foot. So we wrapped it all up. We're going down. We're in the final. Who's your winner?
Ricky Fowler. As I said before, he's just so well-rounded, and he has he's had great wins in the past couple years, and it's time for him to win a major. He was so close. 2014 U.S. Open, Masters last year. He's so close.
You're right. It's time. He needs to win one. But there's no one hotter right now than Jason Day. He just won at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Then he went on and beat everyone at the Dell Match Play Tournament. He's hot. I say he gets it done at the Masters.
I don't want to call it on either side because I'm usually wrong, and I just kind of want to leave it up for kind of the mystery because it's the Masters, and who really knows what's going to happen, so it might be none of these guys. Seems like we hit the stroke limit on this course, but don't go anywhere as Connor goes to the diamond with our MLB experts to make some new division predictions.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Okay. She's gonna love me all over again. Now,
Jamaica, here you come.
here we go.
Good job.
We are well into the 3rd day of the MLB 2016 season, and there have already been some fantastic matchups. While it may be early in the season, it's never too early to look at some potential division winners for this year. I'm joined at the desk by Sam Hurd and Elizabeth Benjamin, who each answer some of the most pressing questions in 3 of the 6 divisions this year. So let's start with the Cubbies. The Chicago Cubs are the consensus favorites to win the NL Central. They have all the pieces in place. Is there any team that can give them a run for their money?
I don't think so. They made it to the NLCS last year, pretty close. They have a very good young core of players. Addison Russell, Anthony Rizzo, Kyle Schwarber, and let's not forget the rookie of the year, Chris Bryant. Right. So being a young team, they already have World Series experience. They owe it to the fans.
I like the Chicago Cubs. I think that they're definitely going to be a contender for the World Series. But I think people forget sometimes that the Cubs actually finished 3rd in the NL Central last year. Pittsburgh and St. Louis are both returned terrific teams. A lot of veteran leadership. You got guys like Garrett Cole and Andrew McCutchen leading Pittsburgh. I think the Cubs probably should be the favorite, but it is without a question not a done deal in the NL Central and in the National League in general.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the season's very early.
Yeah, absolutely.
And injuries, you just never know.
Yeah. The Pirates have shown they can beat the Cardinals, which is always a tough team in that division already this season. And clearly, it's a tough division no matter what, no matter how good the Cubs are. But moving a little east here to the National League East, the Washington Nationals hired Reds and Giants manager Dusty Baker and hopes to avoid another disappointing season that's been filled with a lot of drama, things like that. So will Baker turn this team around and be able to challenge the Mets?
No, I don't think so. I think that managers out of all of the major sports, as a coach for a team, have the least impact on a team's performance. And this is a team that can't seem to stay healthy, and I think people sometimes fall in love too much with the big names that they have. And I think guys like Bryce Harper are not going to be able to do enough to overcome a team like the Mets, that is so solid.
I agree. I don't think Baker will make much of a difference. He did come to the World Series in 2002, but he didn't win. And before that, and after that, he went in 2003, only made it to the NLDS. He doesn't have much playoff experience, and he really needs to bring up prospects later in the year, like Lucas Giolito, Trey Turner.
It's nothing against Dusty Baker necessarily. I mean, I think he's a good manager. I just don't think he has enough.
I don't see anything special about Dusty Baker. The 2002 and 2003 World Series was a long time ago. I don't think it's enough to turn around a team with so many issues.
Absolutely.
But last, we're going to go over to the AL now, to the Central. The Kansas City Royals, the World Series champs, they lost a couple of key pieces this offseason, Johnny Cueto, Ben Zobrist. Are they still going to run away with this AL Central like they did last year?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the AL Central has the White Sox, the Indians, Minnesota, Detroit.
Terrible.
Exactly, exactly. So Kansas City, they won the World Series. They're going to be.
Yeah, I mean, the American League as a whole is just pretty bleak these days. I mean, you look at the National League with teams like the Cubs, Cardinals, Pirates, Mets. They've got Dodgers. They have a lot of really good teams out there. I just don't think that it's not even necessarily that the Royals are that good. It's that I think the teams around them are pretty bad, and especially in that Central Division. Things are not looking good there.
Couldn't agree more. And that's all the time we have for this division winners preview. But up next, Steven takes you to the hardwood for some award predictions.
With the NBA season coming to a close, it's time to start thinking, who is this year's award winner? And I've been awarded the opportunity to get those answers directly from the source. I'm here with the expert himself, Alex Ofori, and he's going to give me the scoop on who will come away with some new hardware when the season is all done. So the first question here I have for you, because we're going to talk about the MVP because that's the most important award. Now, everyone seems to think Steph Curry is kind of the front runner to win the award, and it's pretty much his to lose at this point. So who's your MVP, not Steph Curry?
Yeah, mine is actually Russell Westbrook, and he has been lighting the league on fire this year. I mean, you take away the Warriors, record-setting, win pace, and all that, and any other year, he'd probably be your top MVP candidate. I mean, just look at the pure numbers he's averaging. About 24 points, 10 rebounds, a little under 8 assists, and he has 16 triple-doubles. That's the most since 88, 89, Magic Johnson.
And those 17 triple-doubles.
Yeah, and the Thunder are also 16-0 in those games. So it's showing you that not only is he putting up numbers, but clearly he's one of the driving forces behind the Thunder's success this year. And he's got a 27.8 PER, so that number is solid as well. And I just think as they've been going on, he had a great March as well, 7 triple-doubles there. I think he might actually have a real stake at the MVP award. I mean, I'm not ready to hand it over to Steph quite yet.
No, that's a fair point. But how much kind of love do you kind of give a little bit to a guy like Damian Lillard, who his team was expected to be a 20-win team, and they're contending for a top 5 seed in the West?
Yeah, they're in the thick of the hunt now. I mean, him and McCollum have been unbelievable this year, just carrying that team.
All right, well, moving on to from the MVP to the MIP, most improved player. Who's coming away with that?
Yeah, and although CJ McCollum has been impressive, and I probably would have put him down for this, but I don't think the award should really go to guys who have been, top 10 picks, because you expect them to be really good at some point or another. So my guy here is Draymond Green, actually. Second-round pick, 35th overall a couple of years back, and he's really the heart and soul of this Warriors team. I mean, look at it, he has 13 triple-doubles, so second in the league behind Westbrook, and his all-around play on offense and defense has really helped drive the Warriors on their path to one of the greatest seasons ever. And I think if they do end up getting that record, the Warriors definitely deserve more than one award winner, and Draymond Green has been really big for them, and also their small ball lineups have been dominant this year, and that's possible because of his ability to play any position pretty much 2 through 5, and also guard any position. So he's a very versatile player.
Since he's defensive stalwart of the team, is he your pick for Defensive Player of the Year this year?
No, actually, I'm gonna go with Kawhi Leonard of the Spurs, and I think he'll repeat, and I'll tell you why. He has the Spurs at the top of the league in several defensive statistics. They have the league's best defense in terms of defensive efficiency, and then also are leading the league in opponents' points per game and opponents' three-point percentage. And I think Kawhi Leonard is at the heart, and he's really driving that defense. He'll lock anyone in the league up one-on-one just about. Maybe a little trouble with guys like Stephen Curry, naturally. But he has that, and then he also is averaging about 2 steals per game and has a 4.64 defensive real plus minus. So, I mean, the guy's a stud. And even though he's been improving greatly on offense this year, I don't know if his offense will ever be better than his defense because it's absolutely stellar.
Especially being the first guy to ever, or first guy in a while who's not a big man to come away with that Defensive Player of the Year. But one thing we can't forget is those guys coming off the bench, the Sixth Man of the Year award. Who you got coming away with that?
Yeah, so for Sixth Man of the Year, I'm going to go with a name that might surprise some people here is Enes Kanter of the Thunder. And I'll tell you why. He's averaging 12 points and just a hair under 8 rebounds in just 20 minutes off the bench. If you take his numbers and you look at his per 36-minute numbers, that's an average of 21.7 points and 13.8 rebounds per 36 minutes. He's been dominant offensively when he's been on the floor. And I know he's a bit of a huge defensive liability, but this isn't the all-defensive team. This is Defensive Player of the Year. This is Sixth Man of the Year. And through a lot of games this year, off that bench for the Thunder, he's been dominant and and unlike other guys, he's a true sixth man. He hasn't started one game all season like some of the other guys you look at, like maybe Will Barton or Jamal Crawford.
So in this Kanter's your winner, how much of a chance do you kind of give a guy like Andre Iguodala, who's kind of been coming off the bench for the Warriors, or somebody like a Victor Oladipo who took the move to the bench? How much kind of a chance do you give them?
Yeah, I mean, I think a guy like Andre Iguodala, for example, he definitely has a chance, because the Warriors have been so good and he used to be a starter. But I think this award should be given more to some of those underrated guys out there.
All right, well, I'm very excited to see what's coming out of it. I definitely agree with all of those picks. Only time will tell if these predictions come true, but when we come back, Connor will be in the lounge to talk a little bit of U.S. women's soccer.
RBIs and 36 homers. Swings at the first pitch and fouls it deep back into the stands.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
The United States men's soccer team made headlines across the nation for an essentially must-win game versus Guatemala last week. But nothing made bigger waves across the U.S. soccer community than the women's national team bringing a wage discrimination lawsuit against U.S. soccer. There's a lot to dissect here, and here in the lounge to help me do this is Ryan Meisier and Jenny Berman. So first off, what do you guys make of this lawsuit? Is it warranted?
I think it's absolutely warranted. I mean, you're looking at the fact they're doing equal work and not getting equal pay. This all started with unequal conditions from the World Cup, actually. They had to play the entire Women's World Cup on turf, which a men's team would never have to do. They actually sued FIFA, but because there wasn't enough time really to change everything, that ended up being a lost cause. But now they're looking at U.S. soccer and saying, you guys can do better, even if we can't get FIFA to do better.
Yeah, I think the turf it's a massive dilemma. I mean, you can see there's pictures where you peel the turf off and there's concrete below it. The turf is a big problem for FIFA, for U.S. soccer. But when it comes to paying the players, I think it's so difficult because the way U.S. businesses are set up, and I know U.S. soccer operates as a nonprofit, but the way they're set up, is you really pay what what value you're getting. And the value that the U.S. women, it's just the men are giving more value in terms of the ratings they're bringing in, the jersey sales, and it's just
But are
the
they?
money numbers they are, yes.
But the U.S. women's national team's bringing in more revenue than the men's. They were going to.
Right, and that was last year, you're right.
Right, U.S. soccer was projected to operate at a loss until the women brought in so much money, more than they expected, that U.S. soccer actually operated at a profit. So there is value there.
There absolutely is. I think first, this dilemma needs to get to, can we up what we're paying women before it becomes equal pay? Because I think equal pay is something that in the distant future you need to get to, but I just don't know if it's something they're going to get to right now.
Do you think that if this lawsuit is brought up, do you think they will win this lawsuit? Can you make a case for them winning this lawsuit?
I don't think there's a scenario where
I
women win it.
think that they can. I do. I think that they have kind of this popular opinion around them. They're definitely looking at being like America's team in that sense. They're riding the hype of the World Cup win. Everybody wants them to be successful. Everybody's rooting for these guys.
Yeah, I agree. They're an easy team to root for, an easy group of girls to root for, but the problem is, it's just that U.S. Soccer has so much on their side as a federation that they can go to these clauses, these laws, these lawyers, these attorneys, and they'll be able to work this out as of now. You know, I mean, this is something that for a year is not going to get settled. You know, we're not going to get a decision soon, but I think it's going to be a while before the women get what they want, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've hired kind of an all-star lawyer. The guy who worked with Tom Brady got him off from Deflategate. Right. So they're working with a star-studded team. If anybody can go against U.S. Soccer and win this, it's going to be this team.
And you know
of
that's
lawyers.
what you need when it comes to sports scandals or payment issues. You need a good attorney. And if you have a good attorney and you have a decent case to be made, and the women absolutely do,
then you have a chance.
Then I think you have work that can be made.
So let's jump ahead a couple of years, because you said this is going to take a while. If they win this lawsuit, what does this mean for U.S. soccer and the women's sports in general? Because this can transcend across more than just soccer.
I think it's absolutely massive, because U.S. soccer, the national team, I think is where women's sports can go down from, and I think it can transcend from there. Because you look at what the U.S. women's national team does, consistently churning out world-class players. The NWSL is now doing well as a sports league. So I think if they can get this sorted out as women's soccer, I think this can go to the WNBA, you know, wherever through women's sports.
Right. And I think it also affects the way that the whole women's national team operates. I mean, the way that they have it now is that the players are salaried. So you're kind of locked in a certain, about 20-ish core of people. And now if somebody's not doing so well, they kind of have to get a call up. But now they can just kind of bring in, based on club form, what they're looking at is who the best players are, if it's just based on friendlies and the way the men are paid.
Right. Yeah. Certainly an interesting idea in general, and certainly something that we'll have to follow as it develops, because there are a lot of different intricacies of this thing that will have to be figured out. We'll have to wait and see on the decision concerning the wage discrimination, and while we are waiting on that, up next, Stephen and I head back to the desk to recount a memorable March Madness tournament. March Madness ended with Villanova ending up on top after defeating the North Carolina Tar Heels on a game-winning three-point shot. As sad as the end of the tournament is for college basketball fans, this one certainly lived up to the Final Four name. Stephen, what was your most memorable moment?
Watching Villanova proved me wrong. I had Villanova as overrated in a weak Big East. I thought that they were going to be out by the Elite Eight. And instead, Chris Jenkins comes in with the perfect trail move with my man Archie Diacono just throwing in the ball. And if the tournament had to end in any type of way, that's the way you want the whole tournament to end. So Villanova, my respect, you have earned my respect. You've proved me wrong.
Right.
I bow to you.
I think the last game was fantastic, but I also have to pay homage to the senior class this year. You look at guys like Malcolm Brogdon, who had been with the Virginia Cavaliers for 4 years and was absolutely killer down the stretch in the tournament. Denzel Valentine, while his stay in the tournament this year may have been short, his relationship with Tom Izzo was fantastic. Archie Diacono, like you said, ending up on top. He had
getting the most outstanding player of the year award.
And in the Final Four game, or Elite Eight, was on his birthday, I think, so that's another great thing for that guy. And then finally, Marcus Page, who had the second best shot in the tournament, and that was a shot right before Chris Jenkins.
That was a tough
great shot. Another guy who's been with North Carolina for what it seems like forever. This senior class was fantastic. Buddy Hield as well. Sad to see him go.
Not only that, this was one of the first years where the freshman class really didn't dominate, because other than really Brandon Ingram, we didn't really see much from the
It's good for them to show out for us old guys, you know?
Exactly. We gotta show our love.
That's all the time we have for this episode of 101 Sports. Huge thanks to you, the producers, talent, and crew, and to you, the viewers, for watching.
If you missed anything or want to watch it again, check out our YouTube page and follow us on our social media pages at 101 Sports. Thanks for watching, and until next time,
whose side are you on?